Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be responding once again to a social media post put up by Zach George, pictured here, very popular on social media. And again, I know that I recently put out a statement. I'm not going to respond to any more of this guy's foolishness, based again on a couple of recent videos he put out, which really shows the ideological mask coming off and really exposes these individuals as totally corrupted, okay, by way of this very popular idea. People wonder why it is. Again, there was a recent article put out, which really, by way of Zach George, we talked about this whole woke, okay, narrative that he brings into the dog training community. But here's the thing. I'm going to be actually responding to what he has to say because even recently just kind of reminded me, I encountered a couple of individuals that they kind of reminded me, say, hey, Dale, there's no one out there really confronting any of this stuff the right way. They actually started through Zach George and just, again, total mess. So I am going to be responding to this because, I do kind of feel like I'm like the lone voice out there in a lot of ways because, again, I talk about through balance training, force-free training, all these groups, how they tie into this very problematic idea. So, again, my whole goal here is to provide clarity, okay, as to what the real problem is. The fact that this is not science. You look at all the dogs that are being given up on. Dog owners continue to struggle in the relationship problems with their dogs. I talk about how, once a relationship problem's underway, it's not a learning-based exercise, and the fact that in fact it takes a path of intervention. I line this all up with the parenting example in terms of the social aspect of the relationship. Understand, dogs are amazing animals. They share a very special connection with us, and it goes beyond just appearances. In terms of just, again, like these trainers all do, motivate. Okay, a response at the very beginning when a relationship problem is already underway. And again, talk about how that sets in motion a counterfeit picture within the framework of response. And meanwhile, people are getting their certificates and still struggling in their relationships with their dogs. So again, going to be responding because here's the thing with Zach George. He tries to lean into this corrupted idea by way of certain studies that have been put out by academics. And again, this is where I talk about the academic divide here, where the academic community has really lost the trust, of just the public. And this is where, if I was going to hold up an example of where, science has really lost its way, lost that trust, even through many academics, well, this would be it. Okay, understand, I talk about, how it is that, dogs were never studied, okay, by way of the social aspect of how their decision-making process is governed and influenced at that level. Never studied. I take this right back to Skinner and Pavlov. In fact, the book I put out, Mind and Body Connection, is very specific. I'll read into the research notes. There's a moment right there, okay, that shows it. It's like a warning signal. However, since that time, okay, this has been layered up, and look at all the inherent problems. That's the other amazing thing. And this is why guys like Zach George have no credibility because, they talk about science, trying to hold this up as science. Meanwhile, the dog training world's falling apart. All the inherent problems are happening by way of this, ideology. That's what it is. And, real science confronts, okay? It doesn't shy away from confronting the problems. This is not science. And this is why when you even talk about science being observable, you go into his social media and try to find video content of, how great this ideology works. Guess what? You're not going to find it that way. There's a total lack of transparency, but for a reason. So this is a shell game with these individuals. This is totally corrupt. And so I will respond. I'm going to continue to respond for those who find me, okay? Because there has to be people that speak out about this issue the right way. So yeah, I talk about, you're not going to find the answers through balanced training. I talk about balanced dog trainers that are aligned with this ideology. They're playing both sides of the fence. Force-free movement's taken over for a reason. That's not a good thing. You look at devices being banned. You look at all the confusion out there, no clarity, because everyone's playing into this. So again, I want to put out, again, I'll be putting out lots of video content moving forward. But here was Zach George, in terms of, again, him trying to continue to exploit. But here's the interesting thing: he's getting, you kind of see him kind of getting more upset, okay, as things move forward, because you read the comments, there are a lot of people challenging, the foolishness he's putting out, which is a good thing. I mean, that's what needs to happen here. People need to be challenged, because this is not science. So I'm going to play some of this. Title is, how do I say this diplomatically? Well, understand he's an ideologue. Okay, understand that there's no, even when he says certain words that try to make it look like he's getting along, pay attention here. There's not that. He wants to control. In fact, this is the conversations that he has about wanting to legislate, okay, wanting to enforce, through the, force-free agenda. I mean, that's the goal. This isn't about, they want to supersede all the problems. They want to ignore all the problems, because this is a agenda. This isn't about science the right way. This isn't about, dogs the right way. This is about the human, the corrupted human, okay? And again, about control. Okay, so this is all that's all mixed in. So this is like all the confusion. This is why he selectively, if you look at how he targets the dog daddy, and don't get me wrong, I talk about the issues with the dog daddy in terms of, a interaction based approach. You watch the videos, but he's trying to play off of the confusion. Okay, understand, he's trying for his own agenda. This has nothing to do with, kind of stepping back and saying, okay, let the chips fall where they may. We're gonna audit this properly. That's not Zach George. Okay, so people are encountering this guy, taking his advice, ending up with really bad results, struggling, and he just doesn't care. He's just going to keep exploiting. So I'm going to play some of his video. I'm not going to play the whole. It goes on for rambling on for 40 minutes, but I'm going to play some of it. I might do several parts here, just so people really understand that it's a shell game with guys like this.
I'm going to do my best to remain diplomatic. I'm going to do my best to not become unhinged in this live.
He's already unhinged. So here's the thing: you can't align yourself, okay, with his ideology, because it's based on a lie. Okay, I call it the big lie in the dog training world. You're basically turned over to it and not be unhinged. Okay, so he's already unhinged. So this is just him probably getting unhinged here a little bit more, so people actually could see it. Okay.
But you all know me. You know how I can get. There's some things that I want to talk about today, and I'll wait for some people to get in here before we get too into it. But one of the things I want to talk about, there's been another announcement that there's going to be a conversation amongst dog trainers on social media, and I'll get more into that. And, among the topics will be aversive dog training methods and things like that. There's a lot of interesting notes post-mortem on that post that I think are interesting. I also want to make sure that for those of you who really want some magnificent insight, to see the interview I posted.
So right here, stop it. So, and I haven't, again, I'm just going in this, I haven't, not aware of whatever conversation is going to be taking place here. But here's the thing, and I'll put it out here, that any conversation, scroll down here, any conversation, because he mentioned some other like balance trainers as well, I believe. Well, maybe not. I've just seen a couple taglines here that allude to that. But here's my point. Any conversation, okay, whether it's force-free, whether it's a combination of force-free or balanced dog trainers, you're not going to get clarity. Okay, you're just going to get back and forth, cheap shots, personal attacks. You're never going to come to the point by way of understanding what a process is to these groups of trainers, period. Okay, understand that. This is why, again, this has been going on and on and on. This is just about popularity in social media agenda. It's about exploitation, okay, playing both sides of the fence. And so even, again, I'm releasing a video here talking about even the fact that both these groups can even get away with using the, proclaim themselves as, experts. That doesn't even make sense. I mean, how can, balance and force free, proclaim themselves to be experts while they're pretending to be different? As it shows you, they're not different. Okay. They're both aligned with this ideology, but there's so many red flags in the dog training world that should cause you to pause and say there's something not right here, and then take it to just how common it is for to come out on the other side of this idea of things in just no better shape. Okay, it happens all the time. It's a package deal. It goes along with this idea that trains a learning-based exercise, where how all these trainers are, motivating dogs to respond in the middle of a relationship problem while assuming those responses can be trusted. I mean, understand this is inherent to this idea.
With Dr. Eduardo Fernandez. That's on my page if you want to watch the entire thing.
So I understand, and a word of caution here: don't ever be intimidated by those who put titles, doctors. You see all these academics, because there's a difference between wisdom, okay, and knowledge. Okay, understand here. And this is the problem in the academic field. There's so many that have just exploited, okay, this corrupt idea of things, to the max. And so this is the problem, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to, bolster this corrupt idea by way of through the academic community. Okay, this is such a mess. Understand, this is so problematic.
Uninterrupted. You can watch it on YouTube. I have it posted in 2 parts here on Instagram, as well as TikTok and Facebook as well, just due to the limitations. So I would recommend that you check those out. I'm sure we'll be posting little snippets here and there. Also, this Friday, I'm going to be a guest. It's already been recorded on a podcast, Beers and Biscuits. It was a really good conversation. We got into...
Here, was it biscuit? Okay, so there's your first clue by way of bribery. Anyone called himself, by, using the word biscuit.
Some pretty awesome topics that are difficult for some to talk about. So I think many of you will enjoy that. We'll be promoting that so you can see that too. Okay, so here we go. Gosh. I have to be careful with everything that I do here, because for some reason, my words can get taken out of context. I can be made to look different than I'm intending to, okay? But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he says himself, right? So it's like a shell game here, but just, yeah, that's the thing. Pay attention, because that's what Zach George tries to do. He's trying to manage this somehow. He's totally sold out to this ideology. Understand that. This whole woke agenda. The article came out, just look at it. So, yeah, he's trying to make it work somehow. And I think recently some of the videos, but he's doing a lot of videos like this. Of course, you can't show him work with dogs anyway. So, what do you do, I guess? But he's putting a lot of video content like this, really trying to call this stuff out more, right? He did this whole thing with the dog daddy. Interesting, I haven't seen any of him even talking about the dog daddy here recently. So, maybe something happened there. Who knows? And so he's wanting, it's kind of like, this is what happens over time. Like the ideological mask really starts coming off. I said this, as things move along, because this belief system itself has to try to reach its ultimate fulfillment, okay? Because it's not based on the truth, so that's why you keep seeing things getting worse and worse, because it doesn't stop. Okay, if it's not based on the truth, if it's based on a lie, it doesn't stop. It keeps pushing, pushing, pushing. And so that's what you're seeing. That's why you're seeing the radicalization. It was always there, but it's like a Trojan horse. It's like trying to exploit everything. It's like looking for any kind of opportunity to move this agenda forward. This is what Zach George is doing here.
Anyway, so you might recall several weeks ago, I took exception with Denise Benzie on pain and fear. Those of you who've been following this plotline know all about this. In an attempt to gain unity amongst her and many others, not just her, but many in that crowd, to attempt to bring unity. I was like, all right, if we can agree that pain and fear have no place in professional dog training when teaching the public's dogs, let's start there and go.
And see, here's the thing. So we get this whole thing about, and understand this. You talk about get into the reactions of dogs, right? Understand that through this ideology, because it's all based on appearances, it lacks depth. Okay, even through balanced training, you see this. Understand this whole thing about trying to reconcile certain reactions and labeling things as abusive. Okay, lack of clarity. So this whole thing when I talk about bribery, you understand that that's the theme here by way of this idea of things, by way of how trainers are using or motivating dogs. And so that brings agreeableness, right? The wrong way. Just think about that agreeableness. So everything is surface level. Understand it's all superficial response. Okay, so those core ingredients I talk about by way of control and influence are not part of a process the right way. Okay, they're not brought in through a intentional interaction based method. So this is where you get this whole thing about this narrative about pain and fear, right? It's totally based on appearances. Okay, it's not able to reconcile the responses of dogs, so you never can really work through a relationship problem to begin with. Understand this is the problem because this is all triggering, right? This is all about people's emotions. So you have to break people from that, and it comes through clarity. Understand when I sit down with dog owners, I'm able to talk through it so they are able to reconcile the relationship to the responses. Okay, that doesn't happen here. I understand this is not, this is all, this is why you hear Zach with pain and fear and all this stuff, because he's totally turned over. And there's no coming back. I mean, really. I mean, so you just hear him going on and on and on. And so, he's trying to find a way. Well, and so see, you can't get around this stuff. Okay. I talk about, the problem by way of this, what this idea represents. But they're totally sold out, turned over. They are, and they want to get more people. They want not just they are, but this is the problem. They want more people to come into this way of thinking, right? And they do. Don't get me wrong. You get thousands and thousands of people. I mean, he's got I don't know how many followers. I think he's probably lost a few here lately by way of certain, kind of his woke narrative, certain things he said on some recent videos. But that's the truth. I mean, about you, he's thought that all along. I understand this is not anything new. This is just, him, the mask is starting to slip off.
From there and see where unity can exist in this community. But that, of course,
unity is just an illusion. You can see Ivan Belanoff trying to say about bringing a dog daddy on, and certainly he brings on these ideologues too on his podcast, trying to say, oh, build bridge. There's no building bridge. See, and really think about that, because this is where that statement comes from. There's more than one way to train a dog. Well, what do you think that statement has been based on? Appearances, at a superficial response. So this is the thing. So it's like when you start to understand, the reality as to what is going on, apply some critical thinking here, you'll see why there's impossible to build unity. Because this ideology, the force free, those are force free, have the high ground, the ideological high ground. You really got to think about this stuff. So you can track it. You can understand why balanced dog trainers are going to get kicked off the fence, because it's a perfect storm with society, more kind of more permissive. That's why permissive parenting is on the rise. And I put this all in my book. You can go read my book, Mind and Body Connection. I lay all this stuff out. So years ago, but it's totally predictable for anyone who's looking through the right lens here. So you hear any of these words, whether they're coming from balanced trainers or force-free trainers about unity or building bridges. See, that's the thing, lack of clarity. They don't understand what you're dealing with here. They're in agreement with this. So you get turned over to it.
Of course, proved to be very difficult. I then posed that question to other trainers. I was particularly focused on trainers who train trainers, okay? I think educators have a special responsibility.
I just trained a guy last week as a trainer. Great, okay? The right way, okay? And that's the thing, too, is like getting people out there and here's the thing. I'll talk about this. So anyone's looking, I'll do a kind of a plug here. I mean, you look at the dog train. This is an example. Look at the dog training world. It's all falling to pieces. Okay, what great opportunity. Okay, to to jump in the right way when people are struggling. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Jack George, balance trainers, they're all after each other. It's a mess. What better opportunity to to go out and start to be able to provide clarity the right way. It's an opportunity. So I encourage you to take a look at this system, okay? And that's just not some kind of cheap, superficial marketing ploy, okay? I've never marketed. I can't. I won't market the same way as these trainers, all right? They use everything. They got trophies in the background. They're trying to court. I mean, it's a joke. I tell it the way it is. Okay, I help dogs and owners the right way. I really care about dogs and owners the right way. If you're aligned with this ideology, you don't. Okay, you can't reconcile being aligned with this ideology and say you care about dogs. You can say it, okay, but you can't reconcile it once you understand what the real problem is. So, all the hypocrisy, the virtue signaling, you see it all out there. These trainers, they're playing all sides of the fence. It's a joke. It's so narcissistic. It's unbelievable.
Ability to make sure that they are up on modern welfare and ethics in the dog training field.
What?
So,
I mean, here's the thing. How can you even talk about ethics? Okay, I mean, this is like the ultimate joke. Any dog trainer, balance and force, we talk about ethics when the very idea that you're putting out there is morally bankrupt. I mean,
behind the scenes or in comment section, I softly put the question to other dog trainers, not in a very, very public way, including Joe Rossi. And I asked her, I also asked in the comment section, Michael Shikashio as well. And, surprisingly, it was really difficult for a lot of people to denounce pain and fear.
pain and fear, right? But just think about his whole thing is, um, his whole thing here is bribery. I understand the foundation isn't even right based on a process.
And we'll get more into that, but I'm just trying to set this up.
So I'll stop it here because, I'll do a couple more parts here because I stopped a lot because understand it all starts at the beginning. Language, agenda, understand because once you're looking through the right lens, I mean, you can just look through all this stuff. I mean, it's a joke. So all to say is I'm going to be responding to Zach George for people who find these reaction videos I'm doing because it's important that people push back against this stuff. Understand the dog training world's a mess for a reason. It's not going to get better until more people get it. Okay, understand what's going on. And again, if you're looking for answers to balanced training, well, good luck with that. Um, you're gonna bottom out. Okay, understand you're not gonna find it through balanced training or especially force free or both because they're both tied into the same idea thing. So check out my website. Lots of great information. Thanks for watching.